abuse, child abuse, coloring books for kids, and that kind of stuff is what we raise money for. But remember, scammers use law enforcement angles to get legitimacy to their scale of, threatening to prosecute you. That's one of the biggest scams out there. If you don't send me the money, we're going to prosecute. But the biggest thing you can do is just be aware of what your surroundings are, stay on top of your finances, stay in touch with your banks, look at your bank statements and your credit cards, and there's a lot more out there to help you now than ever before as far as computer fraud. If you report it, and a lot of people won't report it because they're embarrassed that they got used, and they don't want to report it. Well, by the time you report it, you wait a couple of days, it's too late. They've cleaned out your bank account. Another issue we're having are these dating sites. And some people might, I don't do, but you'd be amazed at the number of people our age and older that they go to these dating sites thinking they'll find somebody. And we had one that he pretended to be a general, a retired general, and we run him down and looked, and he was on 4 or 5 different dating sites, same picture. It was an actual general in the Air Force, but he had hacked this general's website and was using all his information and pictures, and there was 3 or 4 ladies in Prattville. He took pretty much everything they owned as far as money, cleaned out the banks. But again, just you got to be real aware of who you're dealing with, what you're dealing with, and like we tell everybody now, we harp on lock your doors, lock your cars. The days of leaving anything unlocked are way gone. You can't leave your cars unlocked. That's one of our biggest problems in Prattville today. We call them B&Es, breaking and entering of vehicles, and the largest portion of our vehicles being gone into are unlocked. And people are leaving guns, money, computers. During Christmas, they leave gifts in the cars, and these people are coming, and most of our issues are coming out of Montgomery and Selma. We have groups that they'll just load up, and they'll drop them off at one end of the street, and 2 or 3 will go down the street hitting doors, and if it's open, they go in it, they take it, and we've tracked, I don't know how many back to Montgomery. We'll stop one group, another group will start back up. But burglaries, we don't average, but maybe 12 what we would consider actual burglaries a month in Prattville, which is, for our size city, that's not what you would call an alarming rate. And usually we can track that back to somebody that knew the victim and they were probably going in to get prescription drugs. If we had very few burglaries that they go in and clean the house out as far as items, it's usually a specific item as far as the prescription drugs they're going in to get. So, and the other thing that you hear on the news, and I'm not a uncut Prattville fan. I do not like rumors and lies when they don't know what they're talking about. People get on there and put stuff out that they don't have any idea what we're doing or why we're doing it or how we're doing it, but they will make up a reason we're doing it and scare everybody to death. That one thing that I made a promise when I got here, we were not going to hide anything. If it's reported, then we're going to put out what the public needs to know. We're not going to try and put anything under the carpet or make it sound like Prattville's crimeless, because no city's crimeless. We never will be, never have been, and I don't care how many police we put on the street, we're not going to stop all crime anywhere in the nation. That's just common sense. We do have good control on what goes on in Prattville. We do, like I said, we do have groups that come in, and we'll get enough to track them back down, and we have chased a few back to Montgomery. A lot of you've heard about a shooting that happened in a neighborhood. Owner come out, found some suspects in his car. Some shots were fired, but that was 2 houses down from where I live. So it can happen anywhere. It don't matter what side of town you live in or where you live. If you leave your car unlocked, eventually they're going to try you. And if you confront these people, don't confront them. Call 911, keep an eye on them. Don't call your neighbor. Don't call 2 doors down, don't get on Uncut Prattville, or don't get on social media, call 911. Let us get there and take care of the situation, because if there's a delay, somebody could get seriously hurt. And we happen to have, and unfortunately when this occurred, there was about a 15-minute delay before we were called. We had 2 units at Walmart, so they would have been right on top of the scene. But we tracked that car. Other good thing is neighborhoods are starting to use cameras coming in and going out. That has solved more crimes in Prattville than here lately. It solved that one. It solved the one that the shots were fired at the apartment complex a couple of days after that. Cameras, surveillance cameras are what are helping us solve these crimes. The people that are committing the crimes don't realize these cameras are there. Several neighborhoods have cameras where when you pull in a neighborhood, they get your tag going in and they get your tag going out. If you're in a neighborhood, we have a community affairs unit that will come around and talk to you about neighborhood watch and how we're trying to get camera system. We're on board with Montgomery has a system that they can tap into business cameras, intersection cameras, and some home cameras that homeowners let them in on. And we're on board. We have 2 officers assigned to that task force, and it's solved a lot of crimes up here, because same people that's doing it here are doing it in Millbrook, Montgomery, Wetumpka. So if we catch one group, we pretty much shut down a lot of crime in other cities. But if you're in a neighborhood, surveillance cameras are the way to go now. They are really, and you can get them for a little bit of nothing. You can have them installed very low cost, and it's amazing what these new cameras can do. So if you're in a neighborhood, you want a neighborhood watch program, contact us, myself or Chief Ham, and we have, like I said, a community affairs unit that will come around and assess your house and give you ideas of how to better secure your house or your business. We can't give you vendors. We don't recommend different vendors, but we'll give you avenues to look at to help you on that. But any questions, complaints?
Several years ago, we got a report, it might have been in here, that Prattville was considered a huge drop-off of drugs between New Orleans and Atlanta. How's the drug scene?
The drug scene, we have drugs in Prattville, but because of what we've done on the streets, we can't get a drug dealer to come to Prattville and make a deal, because they're scared of what we're doing here. But they,
Did that start when you started taking the cars and just taking over all the...
putting them in jail and trying to take, now, used to, we could take cars and all that, but the courts have kind of restricted on what we can seize now. It has to be a very large sum, but we have officers assigned to the DEA task force and our drug unit, and they all work real close together. And the reason we're in the DEA task force is that gives us jurisdiction anywhere. And we have made a case recently that we tracked all the way to China, where the drug supply was coming from. So that officer might have to go there to testify. But the drug problem we have in Prattville is not any drugs are bad, but I feel like we have a decent control on what's coming in and coming out of Prattville. And we're fixing to start another program that's going to put a dent in their pocketbooks that I'm not ready to talk about yet, but we're getting on board with some other agencies, and we're going to start another task force that is really going to put a dent in the drug dealers that are coming into this area. But this is not a major drop-off for drugs. Montgomery, Birmingham, your major cities, they're seeing the up-and-coming drug again. Crystal meth is pretty much in prescription drugs, or what we deal with a lot in Prattville when we deal with drugs, prescriptions and crystal meth, but heroin is making a strong comeback. We've had some overdoses in the recent 2 years. I think we've had 2 of those were deaths from overdose of heroin. Montgomery's seen a large influx. Birmingham, Tuscaloosa has seen a large influx in heroin. It got so bad in Tuscaloosa that the drug dealers were going to the methadone clinics where addicts go to get off the drugs, and were giving them their business card with a sample of the heroin on it. So, but they started charging them with murder when they were having some, and that's another angle we're doing. If we can track the drug back to the dealer that caused the death, we're charging them with murder. We hadn't had that happen here in Prattville, but some of the other agencies have done that and been successful with it.
It takes a lot of manpower, doesn't it?
It does. And when I first started in Prattville, the mayor asked me for a no-nonsense estimate on what I thought we needed on the streets. And that was in 2013. I told him 100 officers. And we're at 89 openings right now, which the city has worked. They've done everything they could to support us, but because of what happened 6, 7 years ago in the economy and things just bottomed out up here in Prattville, almost went bankrupt. Every department in Prattville is now just basically getting back on their feet. So not only do we need police officers, we need firemen, we need people to work parks, we need people to work sanitation, wastewater, and we're getting back on the feet to where we're getting at a good level status of that. We just don't need to try and outgrow where we're at right now. We need to catch up and have solid grounds for the growth. We're going to grow, there's no doubt about it, but we need to be able to support that growth when we do it. And the city and the mayor have been nothing but on board with public safety. And I can say that because I'm pretty much involved in any meeting that public safety has anything to do with. And you couldn't ask for more supportive. We have a committee that we report to as far as budget items. There are 3 council persons and then the mayor. And a lot of people will be amazed at the support we do get from the mayor and the council. But yeah, you hear a lot of things, but Prattville being a home base for a drug operation, last time I heard that was probably in the 90s, and you probably remember Flower Man.
Yeah.
He was the largest cocaine distributor in the South, and he was working out of Montgomery, and his second command lived in Prattville. But that was back in the late 80s or early 90s. And Flower Man, he recently died in prison. He was one of the first ones sentenced for kingpin law they come up with the federals, but he was calling the cartels directly from Montgomery and ordering his cocaine, and his code word for cocaine was collard greens. But
We went through identity theft in January, and if that wasn't a hassle, we probably
Yep.
spent 26 to 30 hours at the bank.
mhm.
Somebody stole about $15,000 out of a couple of different accounts of ours. The bank was great, they reimbursed us, but we had to have all of our account numbers changed, and that's still even a problem. I've got to go tomorrow.
Now, we made the report, the crime report for you.
I
We
don't
do an
think
instant
so, I
report.
don't know. I went to the bank.
If you get scammed like that where they've gotten into your account, call us, let us do the police report, because that justifies to the bank and the creditors that this was legit, and you just not, that you've reported the theft. And a lot of the banks are gonna tell you they're gonna need a police report to reimburse you. But the first thing you need to do when you scam is call us and let us, we'll tell you if it's one we can do a report on. Because if they've gotten into your money, you're gonna need a report showing that you've had an actual theft occur. And if you just go to the bank, most banks are gonna require a police report.
Well, I happened to turn the computer on a Saturday night about 7 o'clock, and we had an alert from Regions. And I thought, oh shoot, nobody will answer the phone, but I went ahead and called the number. And gosh sake, they answered, and she shut down all of our accounts and said go to the bank Monday, which we
If it's-
did.
If it's a
And,
federally
it
insured
was-
bank, they are 24/7.
It was really interesting. And then whoever tried to steal the money tried to open a bunch of credit accounts, so we had to freeze our credit, and It's just
I know.
been one
I've
hassle
been-
after another.
I've had them try and open an account in my name, so none of us are immune to being scammed or,
It's
Well,
just been lately that I've been able to balance the checking account without a bunch of hassle.
I understand.
Well, several years ago, I had cashed a check at Food World when it was out there where Kmart was, that area. And the cashier copied my bank account number and went to the bank and got 3 bank drafts. And when I got my bank statement, the first 3 things on there were drafts. I didn't even know what they were, but I knew it took money out of my account. And I went directly to the bank the same day I opened the letter, the bank statement. And she told me there were bank drafts, and they reimbursed me immediately for the money. And I thought, well, I'll just notify each of these companies that she wrote the bank draft. They could have cared less.
Yeah,
They just take the loss. I guess it's more trouble for them to fight it than to, but I went down and signed a warrant for her, and she was arrested,
and that's one thing you'll see on your credit, you can watch. If your credit card is hacked, or they get your numbers, they're gonna test it by going in, like if you lose it or misplace it, you can watch, and the first thing they're gonna do is go do a small amount. If they get by with that, then they're gonna keep upping the amount as long as they can run with it. But usually, within the first hour, they'll hit 2 or 3 places and spend $20 to $50. And if they get by with that, then you'll see them start doing the 300 to 400 or more. That's on credit cards. So that's another sign you can tell. And like I said, most of the credit card companies now send you that alert that this is unusual for you, the way you know, they know how you spend your money. And you need to, if you hadn't got that, you need to get it, because it will save you some headaches. And she can explain to you the headaches you have to go through when you do have identity theft. I was approached about the trucking issue in Prattville. We know we have a issue with the way the truckers are parking, and we're trying to address it. We're trying to find them a place to park, because we know they have a job like everybody else. But we're trying to keep certain areas from being trucker lots, and that's been addressed with the council and the mayor. But if you have a truck parking in your neighborhood or in an area you know it's not supposed to be, call us. We'll tag it, give them so many days to move it, or hours. If they don't, then we'll start giving tickets. But we know they have a job to do, and that's how supplies get in and out of Prattville, but yet they need to abide by courtesy of where they park and how they park. Speeders, there's not a place in Prattville we don't get a complaint of somebody speeding down the road. So we address that as quickly as we can. We have devices we can put in the neighborhoods that show you the speed. And usually when we get the complaints, they're going 90 miles an hour down 25 miles. Usually the speed's around 30 or 40 is the average. You can attest to that. But we'll flood the area and write tickets. And unfortunately, the ones that usually are the ones that complain are usually the first ones to get the tickets. So if you call us, make sure you slow down, because we will be in the area writing tickets. So we don't. There for a while, downtown was having some vandalism, but we've addressed that little group of juveniles that they understand that it's not appreciated in Prattville anymore.
What about the mufflers? The mufflers on these, I mean, it is getting to be ridiculous.
Are you talking about no mufflers or in?
No mufflers, I mean,
If we
show
catch 'em with the
kids
no
out
mufflers.
these cars that the mufflers, they'll go down the road and you know your ears are hurting.
We write numerous noise complaints on people, and if we find them with no mufflers, they are given a ticket. But I'm sure everybody in here had teenage kids, and back then it was called glass packs. All 3 of my boys had them, but we understand, and we catch them without the mufflers. They are written tickets, and